Hi everyone, it's Lynn Dion here from Pink Whisper Designs. Today I have a brand new stamp set to show you from Art Impressions, and this is an absolutely adorable and beautiful set, and I can't wait to show you. So let's go ahead and get started. So this is the stamp set, and it's called the Animal Nativity Set. And I've put that up above for you for the reference number as well. And you get all of these beautiful images in this set, these adorable little critters and all these gorgeous sentiments, and the coordinating dies as well. So for paper, I'm going to be using the Strathmore Bristol Smooth 100-pound cardstock, and for stamping, I'm using the VersaFine Onyx Black ink. So I'm going to go ahead and tape these down, the dies down with a little bit of purple tape, and I ran those through my Sizzix Sidekick machine, and so you can see those there. So let's do some coloring here. I'm using light gray and tea rose to color in the little lamb here. And I'm going to start off with that light gray and just kind of add my shadows around the edges. I want this to stay mostly white, so I'm just going to add a little touch of that light gray here. And then using my blender pen, these are the Zig Clean Color Real Brush pens. These are a water-based pen. And the blender pen just allows me to blend that ink very easily. Now you could also use water here to do your blending as well. And if you get a little too much ink, you can always grab it from your image and scribble it onto some scrap paper and do that until you remove enough ink. And you can also use water to blend these as well. So you could use a water brush here just as easily. Now with the gray tint, I'm going to do just around his face, just a really light shadow here around the face. And I did add a little pink to the cheeks with the tea rose color. Now with the gray brown, I'm just going to add a little bit of a shadow down here at the bottom of his feet and just kind of pull that down towards the bottom. And adding a little bit of that tea rose to the nose as well and blending that out. So that's very simple. So now with mustard and tea rose, I'm going to do the little bunny here. I'm just adding a little tea rose to the cheeks and to the inside of the ears there as well, and just blending that out. With the mustard color, I'm going to add a little bit of a shadow down here at the bottom and then kind of pull that up. So when I'm doing the animals, I tend to use more of a circular motion. It just gives the image a little bit more the look of fur. So you can kind of like soften up the color a little on the edges and then kind of use a circular motion as you bring it in towards the body. And on this one, I'm trying to keep the right side of this little bunny the lightest. And overall, for all the coloring, I'm trying to keep things very light. I want to keep it very soft because my background and my sky are going to have a little bit more color to them. So I'm trying to keep these very light. And I'm just adding a little shadow here on his tail and then pulling it out towards the edge. And I'll do the same thing up here on the ears. And I colored in that second bunny the exact same way. So I'm going to set those aside. And now for this little critter here, we're going to use gray brown, tea rose, mid brown, and oatmeal. So I'm using the tea rose here on the cheeks and on the ears. And I'm going to use that gray brown down here at the bottom on his feet and just kind of pull that towards the edge. I did add a little bit of the gray tint just around the snout there and just pulling it out towards the tip. Just a very light shadow there. I did do the same thing there, but I did come back later and add a little bit more color here. So with the lighter brown and then adding a little bit of the darker brown, I'm going to blend that again in towards the right hand side. So you can add both colors at the same time if you want to. Or you can add the light color, then blend that out, and then come back in with your darker color. But here I'm just adding the two colors right at the same time and just blending that out. And again, you can always remove ink if you get too much. You can scribble that onto your scrap paper until your blender pen goes clear and then go back to your image. So it's very forgiving and very easy to use. So I'm just adding a little shadow in there. And then I'll continue coloring this one, and I'll meet you on the other side. And here's where I went back and added a little bit more color there, right on the front of his face there. So now for the little baby, we're going to use sugared almond pink and the flesh color to do the face. So we're going to add a little pink to the cheeks and then a little bit of that flesh color kind of around the edges of the face, and then I'll pull that in towards the center there just to keep the center of the face the lightest. I'm just going to add a little bit of the oatmeal color for the hair. Now with blue-gray, I'm going to color in the blanket. And I'm just using one color here. Just pulling it up towards the face and keeping it the lightest there. And I'm going to do the same thing for the pillow. Now for the crate, I'm using oatmeal and mid-brown. I'm going to apply that oatmeal color all over and then add my shadows with the mid-brown. So now I'm going to use sugared almond pink, blue-gray, and pale yellow to do the little birds. So I'm adding a little pale yellow there to the tummy area, a little pink to the cheeks, and then that blue-gray on the body. And I kind of just want to blend right up to that yellow color. So again, keeping everything very light and pastel here. And I'll do the other one the same way. And there you can see everything all colored in, and aren't these just so adorable? I just love these. So now using my rounded rectangle double stitched dies, I'm going to take that largest one and my watercolor fence dies. I'm going to be using that one there. I'm going to run these through my die cutting machine using the Strathmore Bristol Smooth 100-pound cardstock. Now using peeled paint, gathered twigs, and ground espresso, these are the Distress Oxide inks, I'm going to go ahead and tape this off with a little bit of purple tape. So I'm bringing it up on my panel a little bit here, about 1.75 inches. So I'm just coming up. I want to mask off the bottom portion of this card. And I'm going to be using my blender brushes here to do my blending. These are the Picket Fence Studio brushes. And I'm just going to apply that green color first, just around the edges. And I'll come back to this again later. This is just to kind of get started here. And then coming in with the gathered twigs, I'm going to come from the purple tape down onto my paper. So I'm just tapping off the extra on my purple tape and then just bringing that down onto the paper. So I want to create kind of the look of straw here in the middle part and a little bit of the look of grass around the edges. But again, I want to keep it all very soft. And now with the ground espresso, I'm just going to define that area a little bit better by adding a little shadow there up the top. Now I'm going back to the green and just kind of blending that in. Just blending those areas together here. Now with the ground espresso, I'm going to spatter this. So I'm going to put a little on my glass media mat, spritz it with a little bit of water. I do want to make sure I mask off the rest of the card here just to make sure it doesn't get spatters on it. And then using a small paintbrush, I'm going to spatter that entire panel on the bottom there. So I'm just going to quickly clean off that purple tape so we can use that again. So now I want to mask off the bottom part so that I can do my sky. So I'm just going to line that purple tape up right along that line, leaving a little bit of it showing just so that I don't have a gap there. You want to leave a little tiny bit of that showing. And I did heat set this cardstock before I put the tape down. If you don't, your tape probably won't stick. So now using Tumbled Glass, I'm going to go ahead and take my life-changing brush here and just add that color all over, just nice and even. So that was Tumbled Glass, and now I'm coming in with the Stormy Sky. And now I'm going to come from that tape up, just kind of create a bit of a shadow here. And I'm coming up about 3/4 of the way on this top section of the panel here. And then to add a little bit more of a shadow, I'm going to add the chipped sapphire. And I'm just kind of blotting that off if I need to on my glass media mat. You can blot it off on the purple tape as well. And then I'm just kind of blending that in. And that's going to give me a nice shadow there down at that line. Now I'm going to go back in reverse order and blend these out. And now I decided to add a little bit of black soot here. So I'm using a smaller brush and I'm going to just add a little bit of a shadow here. And you can see that I'm blotting it off first on my purple tape and then pushing that ink up onto the paper. And that's going to also give me a bit more of a night sky look here. And then again in reverse order, I'm going to blend these out. So now I want to spatter this. I'm going to just take my Distress sprayer, which just has a little bit of water in it, and I'm going to spatter this panel. That's going to give us a little bit more of a night sky as well. And then I also want to add one more thing to this. I'm going to add some little stars in the sky. I'm going to grab some white gesso. I'm just going to place a bit of that on my glass media mat as well. I'm going to spritz that again with my Distress sprayer, which is water. And I'm going to mix that together until I get a nice consistency here. And then I'm going to go ahead and spatter that panel. And again, that's going to give us a beautiful starry sky. So now I can remove my purple tape, and I'm going to heat set this whole thing just to make sure it's nice and dry. So now I've got my standard A2 size card, which measures 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and using my ATG 700 permanent tape dispenser, I'm going to go ahead and tape this down. And I'm just going to center that on the front panel. So now I can add my fences here. I'm going to add one to either side. And I'm using my Nuvo Deluxe adhesive to attach these. And I'm going to do the same thing for the other side. Now I want to pop this up a little bit, so I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of the Scotch foam mounting tape here, just to give this a little bit of dimension. I'm removing the backing from the tape here, and I'm going to center that. Now I'm going to position out all my other little critters here for my scene, just to kind of see where I want everything to be. And I'll pop some of these up, and some of these I'll just glue flat. But that's going to be the positioning for my little animals. And then for the birds, I was just trying to figure out exactly where I wanted them to be. So I decided to put one there on the left and one a little bit lower on the right-hand side, just to bring your eye down a little bit. So now with the tag stitched dies, and these are really nice. You get all these beautiful tag designs and all the coordinating pieces as well, the reinforcement pieces. So I took that smaller tag and I went ahead and die cut that. And I'm just going to cut off the tag part. I'm going to cut that top part off. And I stamped it with one of the sentiments that we had from the stamp set, which says, "Jesus is the reason for the season." And I'm going to go ahead and pop that up as well. Again, adding plenty of foam mounting tape here. And I'm going to place that up here along that line, right along this panel. And then one more thing I wanted to add was a little star. So I went ahead and grabbed the coordinating die for that, and I'm going to go ahead and tape that down and run it through my die cutting machine. And then using yellow and pale yellow, I'm going to color this in. So I'm just adding the pale yellow, then the yellow around the edges, and then I'm going to pull that in towards the center. Now to add a little sparkle, I'm using my Nuvo Aqua Shimmer pen. And this is the glitter gloss pen. And this is just going to add a clear, sparkly glitter to this little star. I put some foam mounting tape on the back of that and a little bit of glue on the side where it's going to be touching that sentiment, just so it will lie flat there. And I'm going to position that on my card. And I'll let that dry. So here's a look at the finished card. You can see that beautiful sky we have. I just love these images so much. I think it's so beautiful. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe. And don't forget to visit me at pinkwhisperdesigns.com. As always, thank you so much and have a great day. Bye-bye.